Welcome back to From Upside Down to Right Side Up and the wrap-up of my conversation with Dr. Melanie Dunlap. She's a naturopathic doctor. She's a speaker, an author of an amazing book called Uncertain Grace, and she is a cancer coach. I'm María Tomás-Keegan, and this is part of my continuing series of conversations with brilliant, resilient women who have inspiring stories to tell and who are role models for the rest of us when it comes to learning to thrive. Dr. Melanie has shared her own story of cancer, learning to survive, her own diagnosis, and caregiving for her husband as he managed his. Hi, Dr. Melanie. Thanks for being here and sharing this story. Yours is a unique perspective, I think, and I love that you wrote this book called Uncertain Grace. And you're going to tell us a little bit about that in a moment. So I think this is an important story so that others can learn about your journey and perhaps help them in theirs. So I would love to hear from you, what are the most important lessons you learned through this journey?
Well, thank you, Maria. The most important lesson that I learned from all of this was do not make important decisions in the doctor's office. That was the number one thing, because especially with a cancer diagnosis, there is this prevailing sense of urgency. As soon as you are told that this has entered your life, there is a flurry of things that happen. The doctor's appointments are scheduled, tests are scheduled, and everyone is wanting to get you on their schedule. But just like we talked about in the last segment, we talked about fear. That's what happens, is you get stuck in that fear. That's all that you can really think about. And so it's best to be in the doctor's office, get the information, even make the appointments, the follow-up appointments. If they won't let you out without doing that, which sometimes happens, those can always be canceled if you change your mind later. But then when you get away from the doctor's office, when you get home, when you get back in an environment that you control the energy of, that's where you want to make your decisions. That's where you really want to check in and see what is right for you. Now, that being said, I don't advocate Googling everything, because that's the other thing that we do. And that's very scary. I did the same thing, and I regretted it. But getting in a space where you can actually make good, clear decisions is critical. It's critical. The other thing that, from my journey, that really surprised me was who steps up to help you, as well as who doesn't. You know, we all have our own journeys and our own stories and how things hit us and how we're able to deal with things. Understand that when someone is diagnosed with cancer, their whole tribe is affected. You know, yes, it's those that are immediately close to you, but it's also those, you know, those that know you, your acquaintances, your friends. We all have a reaction to the word cancer. And being willing to accept that, as well as being willing to be the person who is reaching out. During my own journey, I actually blogged about it. I write a health and wellness blog every week, and it just so happened that it came about and I started blogging about it from the very beginning. And I actually was doing that week by week. So my book is actually that story. And so all of that stuff was written in real time. And when I went back and redid the book, I left it from that perspective because it was very powerful. And one of the things that was so important for me was people, and I never knew this would happen, I didn't think about it, people started sending me cards. You know, I'd get emails and stuff, they would send me cards. And those I kept around me, and I would pick them up and I would just thumb through them when I was having a really hard time. And I didn't have to interact with anybody. You know, I mentioned people are always asking you how you're doing and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you need to get away from that. And that was a great, I could feel the love and I could get what the people had sent them for, that support. But I didn't have to talk about it. I didn't have to give somebody else my story in that moment. It was the strength for me. So I think that we're so much more supportive. It doesn't have to be a meal or a phone call or something like that. I had, you know, some people sent me gas cards and grocery cards, stuff like that. Some people, you know, stopped by with groceries, literally, which was amazing. It can be a little bit challenging because, again, you know, you never know what people are able to eat. But yeah, that just allowing that support in was huge. And then of course, obviously, is knowing your body, really knowing your body and spending time talking to it and getting to know it and looking at it, especially ladies, look at it. It's awesome. It got you here. But knowing your body and how it should feel and how you feel in it before you get some sort of diagnosis like this. I think that's really important.
Yeah, wow. Those are three big lessons, and I think they're so important. The first one is don't make decisions in the doctor's office. Or, you know, I talk about this a lot myself. It's don't make decisions when you're at that height of emotion, whatever the emotion is, right? Because we're not clear. Where the fear is probably has a hold of us, and it's very hard to make good sound solid decisions from that place. So that's a great one. I love what you said about your support network and how you I just wrote a blog about this, what to do when somebody has lost someone special. It's a very similar situation. But what do you say? It's hard to know what to say, and it's hard to know what to do. But your support network found some unique ways to help you, and the most important one for you was to send you cards of support where you didn't have to tell your story over and over again. I love that idea. And that you were able to read, you surrounded yourself with those, so when you needed that support, it was there for you. I love that idea. That's really important. And then knowing your body. I think that's a huge one too. I don't know that we all take time to really know how we feel when we're well, and truly take stock of that until we are not well. So that's an important one too. Thank you so much for sharing those, Dr. Melanie. Now tell us about your book. You shared a little bit about that there. You wrote the journal, and this became the book. Tell us a little more about your book and where we can find it.
So my book is called Uncertain Grace, One Couple's Journey Through Cancer. And it is a real-time story of the hope and the fear of today's cancer treatment. It follows and chronicles my interactions with cancer and my interactions with my doctors, and choosing to take a holistic path and not do everything that the doctors told me. And then it also goes into my husband's story, who he had to do conventional treatment and go through all of that. So it gives an opportunity for people to see how it can be done, and also things that can be blended. I talk about dealing with the fear and the energy, and you know how to really feel through your body and that sort of stuff, and the lessons that I learned going through this. And it is available on Amazon, And yeah, you can get it on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon. That's great. Thank you so much for that. And I know that after people listen to this or watch this interview, they are going to want to get in touch with you directly. So what's the best way they can do that?
The best way to get a hold of me would be through my website, which is melaniedunlap.com. And you can reach out to me through there. You can also see the blogs, some of the blogs that were written for this book.
And everything else that you have to offer, which is a lot. Dr. Melanie, thank you. This has been just enlightening for me, I'm sure as well for our audience. So I want to thank everyone for watching this segment with Dr. Melanie Dunlap. This series of interviews is inspired by my own book, Upside Down to Right Side Up, Turning Transition into Triumph. I believe we're not meant to go through this life without surrounding ourselves with people who support us, so none of us will ever again have to feel what it's like to be alone. Many of us have gone through similar experiences, and we're here to help. I believe it's our time to thrive. Will you join me? I'm María Tomás-Keegan. Till next time.